there is rarely ever a moment when your leadership skills will not be tested, or even if you're thinking, man, I'm doing a great job here, this is not going to be the answer that you're probably looking for. What is my worth? Who do I help? Why am I even here?
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I would ask you to, I just wish I could put this on a billboard everywhere.
When you look back in hindsight, everything is 20/20. In hindsight, we make mistakes, we're learning from it. In hindsight, be yesterday and your tomorrow. In hindsight, it's so much clearer now.
Hey, welcome to Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones, and today I have M. Curtis McCoy, who is a personal branding expert who helps successful authors, entrepreneurs, motivational speakers, podcast hosts like myself, and leaders reach a massive audience through expert interviews on Amazon, Fire TV, and Newswire magazine. Welcome. How you doing, M.
Man, it's good to be
Curtis
on your show.
McCoy?
Appreciate you, Lee.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate you for setting some time. So I'm going to put this out there, guys and ladies, everyone out there who's listening. I am really tapping in to Curtis's personal time right now. So I just want to thank your family for just giving us a few moments to talk to you.
No worries, man. I was checking out your show. You're crushing it and interviewing some good folks. So
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me as a guest.
Absolutely. Hey, where are you calling in from?
So I actually got two different studios here in Colorado, but I'm over in Fruita, Colorado right now.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm here in California, trying to make it through this summer. Oh, I'm in the hot part, so closer to the desert than normal. But yeah, it's pretty hot here in Marietta.
Man, I would rather. I've been in Marietta.
Okay.
I would rather freeze to death than be moderately inconveniently too hot for too long.
It's funny you say that because, I did some time in the Army, and my first duty station was Alaska. And then I had my third duty station was Hawaii. And to be fair, I think I'd still pick Hawaii.
There's some other stuff going on there, though. Being hot on the beach is a whole different thing than being hot when you're trying to do something.
Hot in the desert, right? Hey, so this is Hindsight the Podcast, and thank you for coming on. You're doing a lot of magnificent things for entrepreneurs and, podcast hosts and leaders as a whole. But for you, and I know we had a little discussion before we got rolling here, but I'd like for you to, one, just tell me a little bit about who you were before you came who you are. You know what I mean? So let's talk about a little bit about maybe your journey as a youngster, maybe something that your mom was very influential even later in life, in your life, right? So some of those little tidbits from your earlier days.
My mom is actually doing some guest interviews with me now on the podcast. She has got no desire whatsoever to have a personal brand or for people to know who she is. Right. She's actually competing all over the country, winning races, barrel racing. She's got a real nice horse and stuff. But she's has no desire to be known as the winner or whatever. My stepdad will come talk about her. Like, oh yeah, we're winning money all over the country. She's like, yeah, I just like to ride my horse. But she's doing some guesting with me now on the podcast too, showing up when it's people talking about family-owned businesses and things like that.
Okay. So what kind of things did she instill in you as a little boy, Curtis, that you kind of take with you today?
I was thinking I might try to avoid this, but actually grew up in a pretty rough house. My mom's always been awesome. My dad was not a great dude. I guess a big reason I got years and years later got into personal branding was, my dad was real rough on us.
Okay.
At one point he'd been saying you're a waste of skin, you're a waste of oxygen, those kind of things all day as he was having me dig a hole and then dig a hole deeper than I was tall. So you're not sure if you're digging your own grave or not. And then digging a hole beside it to fill take the dirt, fill that first hole in. It just kind of like a military type thing, breaking you down where you realize my value is absolutely nothing. So that later, like in the military, they do that and they build you back up where you get build a strong team. That was just to show you are worthless. If you die in the bottom of this hole, I'm just going to fill it back in.
Ooh.
But I guess probably the determining moment for me was I was sitting there on the floor. He had backhanded me. tell me your waste of skin, your waste of oxygen. Walked out and come back in with a loaded 357 pistol. Spun it, slapped the clothes there, set it on the counter, and told me to do the world a favor. Yeah. And so,
whoa,
that's part of it. And I'm like 13 years old, really thinking about that. Going, if my own dad is telling me I'm a waste of skin, I'm a waste of oxygen, maybe this is maybe he's right. I only went into that because talking about how's your background and stuff. Everybody's got hardships. Everybody's got junk that they're dealing with that sucked. I mean, whether it was child abuse, there's so many people I talked to were molested or had sexual abuse or have had a spouse cheat on them or something that was life changing. Parents die in early their children die of different things where we've all got junk that we got to deal with. But the winners take those problems and use them as reasons to become something better.
I appreciate you diving into that because that's really the goal. We all have different things that we have to overcome, and sometimes they're very difficult. And in one of those things, I know recently, I don't know how recently, but recently you had to overcome medical diagnosis. So would you want to talk about that just a little bit?
I mean, we all do. There was brain cancer and diabetes and a few different things like that. But kind of the big thing, if we can go back to I'm not trying to steer your show here, but
no, please. It's hindsight. Go back.
So I had started. I had a pharmaceutical company, a cosmetic medical laser clinic. We were manufacturing bioidentical injectable research peptides, supplying NFL athletes and all kinds of different folks with products that help you run faster, hit harder, jump higher, and also not show up as a drug that could get you kicked out of the league. I've had I had a Christian clothing company, all kinds of different businesses, but I see this so often with entrepreneurs who build a phenomenal business. They're making a bunch of money. Something changes. We had a telecom company that we ran for over 10 years with, it's called Best Cellular, but it was a mobile virtual network operator. Whatever you're drinking there, it looks good. A little espresso or something. These video podcasts, like, getting jealous there, man.
That's awesome. And you got it correct. Yes.
So I've built up these different companies, but every time, I didn't realize until like 2017 or so that the guys that are doing the most successful, they're launching, career entrepreneurs, just launching businesses over and over, and they're overnight success. That's the guys who have built a personal brand where people know, like, and trust them, or at least recognize them. And that's somebody that they align themselves with. So with our phone company, had 250,000 customers a month hitting the website at the peak, which is a good amount of traffic.
Right.
And we were competing. Our number one competitor at the time was Richard Brunson, who had Virgin Mobile, Virgin Airlines, Virgin Galactic, Virgin Records. I mean, anything you could think of. My audience is not the same. It's not really their type of guy that they're going to follow. Yeah. But he's built a massive, ridiculous loyal following where when he launches a new Virgin company, it blows up because he's got people that like that, the old party guy kind of a lifestyle or whatever. Right. And he's done a very good job building himself a brand where everybody knows him. And he's just a business owner, So we've got that compared to me at the time, who had started all of these different companies, built them up, and then when something changed in the industry or whatever, I'm starting something new, and nobody ever had any clue who I was. So now that's where I'm helping authors, entrepreneurs, motivational speakers, podcast hosts, business leaders, helping them to get out there and putting them on the 96-foot billboard in Times Square, in New York. Yeah. On the cover of Newswire magazine, Amazon Fire TV interviews, that kind of stuff. So,
okay. I love it. So personal branding. So let's think about this. I know, I can't forget the guy. I can't remember the guy's name. He does some personal branding as well. And he says to find your story, right?
Got Brendan McCoy with Hook Point.
Yeah. Well, just tell your story, right? So you talked about people know who you are and what your branding is. And one of his approaches was to, tell your story. So you alluded to it a little bit, but you want to shy away. So I think I'm going to respect that. The reason why I did bring up the health thing is because I know that you went through a period where you were a little down, right? It was kind of like, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth. Why me, right? And your mom came in. She kind of gave you some pep talk. Let's go. Let's get it going. Right. You know what I mean? And got you back moving in the right direction. So the whole point, Hindsight the Podcast, we go through things, but you can't let those things keep you stuck. You still have to have your goal. You still have to have your mission, your purpose, all of these things, right? And if you don't have it, you're going to find yourself stuck. So, all right now, because you are a serial entrepreneur, that's what I'm going to call it, successful business person, like what is one of the significant failures early in your career that shaped your approach to personal branding?
I got a great story for that. So I had, at the time, I had 250,000 customers a month, had people all over the internet. I owned 3 retail stores, and then we had licensees all over the country that were selling Best Cellular, our brand of service. Mm-hmm. And I had one of my best friends. We're doing barbecues, every couple of weeks. We're over hanging out, having barbecues, hanging out. Just, I'll do anything for these guys, Mm-hmm. And one of them showed up in my store one day. He goes, "Hey, Curtis, did you know I won't say the phone company name, but another competitor over here in Grand Junction was saying, he said, they're saying that the owner of Best Cellular is racist and that you won't allow Mexicans in your store." And this Mexican guy told me this. He's like, "Yeah, that's weird, huh?" But then we're looking back and I'm going, my numbers we had a ton of international plans where you could get free international calls to Mexico and all over. But so my international subscribers were just porting out like crazy locally. And we didn't know why. Going, these are people we've been doing business with for years. And so we finally got up, and there was a rumor going around at this other cell phone store where they were telling all their customers that needed the international calling to Mexico. They said, don't do Best Cellular because the owners are racist and he hates Mexicans and he won't let Mexican people in his store.
Wow.
And so this buddy went like, "Yeah, you hear this?" And I said, "Well, what'd you say?" I didn't really know what to say. So I just thought I'd come tell you. I'm like, awesome. So I took a trip to this store, and I went, I'm not trying to knock somebody's teeth out or nothing. I just showed up and said, "Hey, what do you?" I'm looking at his phones, and what do you think about this Best Cellular service that uses Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, all 4 of the networks? You get free international calling, money transfer services, all kinds of stuff built into the plan. What do you guys think about that? Oh, you don't want to go down there. The owners are racist, and he hates Mexicans. And they went on this whole thing. And so I'm standing there listening, just letting them give their spiel. I'm like, man, that sounds like a bad dude. Why do people keep signing up down there? Well, they got some cheap plans and stuff, but we can hook you up. We can get you close, and so I keep listening, just talking them through it. And so I finally took a card out of my pocket that said, President Best Cellular, Curtis McCoy. I said, "Man, I appreciate your time here. If you guys ever need anything, and then look at the card and it says owner / President Best Cellular. Yeah, you just like, hey, don't worry. I realize you're doing business the way that you feel like it's right to do business. I'll still send people over here if they need your service,
right?
But I appreciate if you're not saying stuff like my best friend is from Mexico. It's maybe come up with a different story. But that was kind of a long way to tell you. I realized I was making a huge mistake by not building enough of a personal brand that even my local competitor in the same market, we had all the phone service, but even my local competitor running that retail store had no clue that I was the owner of it. Where Richard Bronson, I've never seen the guy in my life, but if you say, "Hey, who built Virgin Mobile?" That's, for a fact. You can picture the guy's face, the long hair, and the other girls wearing it out, whatever. So, so that was the big mistake where I'm like, I had businesses over and over that crashed, and that I sold, or you close, or whatever happens, and you change industries. Maybe you just get bored and you go, "This company's doing well. I'm going to sell it and start something else. This new passion project kind of a thing." But yeah, that was the kicker where I'm like, I need to work on my brand if the local competitor doesn't know my name.
And also the local competitor feels compelled to put a story out there like that as well. Obviously,
but that's a sign you're doing good business. If somebody goes, "Oh, did you realize the Hindsight Podcast isn't accepting new guests because he doesn't like talking to people," and you start hearing a rumor like that, going, "That's probably a competitor that's having a hard time getting the same audience you are on the show."
Yeah. Wow. How bad did that damage your company's bottom line, I guess.
I mean, that was one little retail store in Hotchkiss, Colorado. Yeah. The competitor is an hour drive away, 45-minute drive away. So it wasn't like it was, I mean, it was a good portion. The reason that I even noticed it was because it was friends and family. And I mean, it's people that I knew that are porting out for no reason. When we'd ask them, why are you leaving? Well, we just found a better deal. And everybody was going to the same store. So like, it's kind of a weird thing that, found better, whatever the option was. So
that's still pretty good. That was a great tactic, though. You hand them the business card and say, look, I'm still going to send business your way because you have an offering maybe that's a little different than mine that I can't satisfy. So I'm going to send them to you. And hopefully that bridged the gap. And hopefully that story at the time, maybe the person who started or generating that story thought about it and said, that's pretty crappy tactic to use. Hopefully, right?
If not, I can't imagine how embarrassed I would have been. As that guy stand there.
Absolutely. Oh, we know he was embarrassed.
Yeah.
Hey, so how do you maintain like authenticity while scaling multiple? You do these ventures all at the same time sometimes, right? Like, how do you do that? Like, it's like me. I don't even know like how to compare that. Like you do a lot of different businesses in different ventures, different industries. Like, how do you juggle that? And how do you maintain your authenticity when doing it?
Man, so another mistake I see entrepreneurs make a lot of times is like the shiny object syndrome, or people say squirrel, or get distracted and run off something. Don't start another project until you've got your current system running on its own. So, for example, with the retail stores, I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week, 100 plus hours a week. But I had got to where we had 3 retail stores that were fully staffed, had employees at all of them. Each of those employees were not just a pretty face there, being able to check out your, ring up your cell phone. We were hiring sharp people who could get on, and maybe they had a little bit of web design experience, or a little bit of, I had 2 guys that were professional copywriters that were working as retail salesmen. When nobody's in the store, they're sitting down pumping out articles on what is the best cellular service in whatever random place in the country.
Okay.
So don't get distracted from what's making you money until you've got something where that is self-sustaining and you got another limb there. But if it's a good enough for an opportunity, like starting Newswire, I told you when Sam found Newswire, one of my old employees found that it was for sale. He's like, we had a massive tax liability coming up, and it was you either invest in some type of advertising, different whatever, or you pay that money to Uncle Sam. So I wasn't going to give it to the man. So we started a new company, but that was one, had a really good employee. I wasn't looking for domain names. This kid, as a hobby, was a domain investor. So he had hundreds of different websites, and he's like, hey, this one's coming out. This is available. So I'm like, I don't have the time to do another thing. And he'd been doing copywriting for me for 2.5 years, I think, at the time now. And he another kid that he had trained with was just crushing it. We had over 800 articles, search engine optimized articles that were like 1,200 words long on the site that are driving traffic to that. And so then when Sam is telling me he wants me to buy this Newswire company, I'm like, okay, I do not have another 10 minutes a week to be able to put into this. This is your project.
Right.
So we finally, as he started saying, well, here's what I'd like to do. We turned that into something I was able to focus on more, and we closed down closed down all the retail stores in 2020, I believe. Okay. Last of the stores there. So, that's one where the website still generates recurring revenue because all those SEO friendly articles that are driving in traffic that you can put ads on and whatever. So,
yeah, man,
don't get distracted though.
You got a great team. I get distracted a lot. So that really resonated with me. And I'm a squirrel chaser at times. So that's why I gave you the So I need to get better at that. I really need to get better at that. And I'm trying to focus in, hone in on specific things. I like how you said, focus in, stay true to the thing that's making you money until you got the money that you need. And then you can start chasing those other rabbits. That's awesome.
And I heard a guy say something cool about that the other day where he was talking about why somebody should hire me as a personal branding expert. This is another, I don't remember if it was podcast or like a remote TV interview. But as we're talking, he gave the example of, he said, okay, say you're a lawyer and or your neighbor's a lawyer. He's out there. There's two guys out there. The lawyer's out there mowing his lawn, and he's sweating in the sun and kicking the lawnmower and just kind of throwing a fit. Stupid. I don't know why my wife don't mow the dang lawn. And the neighbor kid, one of the neighbors comes up and says, Hey, Bob, why are you doing this if you hate it so much, or if you're not good at it or whatever? He's like, well, it's, I could hire somebody to do it, but the neighbor kid wants $20 to do the whole lawn. And he said, okay, Bob, how long is this going to take you to mow the lawn? Probably an hour. Waste an hour on my dang Saturday. Like, what do you charge an hour as a lawyer? Well, it's $180 an hour, $200 an hour. Now that neighbor kid would do that for $20. He'd do that for 10% of what you're worth as a human, what your time is worth.
Right.
Why are you, the neighbor kid mows everybody else's lawn in the whole street here. Yeah. Why are you not hiring the expert that's doing a good job that can do it cheaper than your time is worth per hour? Even if it's just, hey, I need to kick back, take a nap, watch some football, whatever. Why aren't you letting the expert do that? So that was kind of it resonated with me where I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
You saw me look down and start writing. I definitely like that analogy. I do in the actual sense of that analogy, I do it. So I get people to cut the lawn. I take the car because I used to, try to cut the lawn. Not try. I mean, it's not hard, but it just takes time. Cut the lawn, change your oil, do all of these different things, right? But it's just like, why do it? It's affordable when you compare it, and that's a good lesson right there. When you compare it to your time's worth.
Yep.
So anyway, I love it, and that gives me more time to chase some squirrels. No, I'm just playing.
Well, and if your business, if you got something set up to where maybe your podcast has started making a few bucks, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying a small podcaster just getting started. They're just starting to get their first couple of sponsorship deals, and somebody's sending them some cheap $100 mic or something. It's going, okay, if you're seeing people are reaching out and are willing to initiate, how do I pay you type thing going on with business, maybe that's something where you've got, maybe the software business you've started can kind of run on its own a little bit, or you can hire a VA to take over and manage some of that. That's something maybe if you're seeing going, hey, there's this huge potential here, chase that squirrel. Just don't let it shut down what's actually feeding you.
I like it. All right, you're a leader. Do you look at yourself as a leader? I'm going to ask that question before I ask this next question.
I mean, absolutely, yeah. It's, but I think, I think leadership can be developed in anyone.
Oh, so absolutely.
The reason that I started with the whole thing with telling you about my dad there was the reason I started this entire thing was I had ran away from school, snuck out of school, where the school lunch one day, and ran like a mile and a half, whatever, down to the used bookstore. And I'm trying to figure out, I think that was the day after he'd given me the pistol. So I'm down there looking at the bookstore, just trying to figure out what to read. The bookstore owner or employee or whatever come up and said, is there something I can help you find? Yeah, I just need to find a book to help me be a good person. Like, they're expecting a 13-year-old to be looking for a comic book or something, but walked me through and got me How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Absolutely a life-changing book. So that's where I got really hooked on. That's the reason when I was diagnosed with the brain cancer that I started writing my fourth book there on how to be successful, think like a leader.
Right.
Just going, man, it is absolutely life-changing, whether it's a podcast or a book or being able to connect and learn from somebody who knows better what you're trying to be.
Absolutely. Hey, so here's my question then. Can you share a moment when your leadership was tested, and how did that test influence your growth?
Owning retail stores, there is rarely ever a moment when your leadership skills will not be tested, or even if you're thinking, man, I'm doing a great job here, there'll be stuff where I had this kid, real sharp young guy. He had a criminal history. It was kind of that third strike, you're out type of a situation. Okay. And so I had gone back for a follow-up cancer treatment in Mexico, Tijuana, Mexico. And this guy had probably not a good person just by default, that his life choices, the things that kept happening to him were because of situations he's put himself in.
Yeah.
But I let him manage the store, and let him manage the store when I left for the cancer treatment in Mexico. And I came back, and we did computer repair. We had all, I mean, this is the first little store, had computer repair and software repair and stuff. And I got back, and customers start showing up asking why, where their computer's at. Why isn't it been repaired? And he's got checked out saying the customer had picked it up. So over and over again, I start looking, I'm like, we were missing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of inventory, cell phones, cases, accessories, chargers, screen protectors, whatever. Yeah. So I pull up the security camera on the phone there, pull up the camera apps, and I'm looking through, I'm like, this guy has got buddies walking in where he'd say, oh yeah, get this phone. He's activating it for him for free. I mean, it's coming out of my bank, but he's paying the phone service, prepaying in advance. And right. That was one of those with, I think probably judging. It's a chance I'd have given him again, but so we called the police, looking through this going, hey, this kid owes us like almost $10,000 in lost merchandise. Yeah. So called the police. They called. They said, okay, do we want? And the police, the cop is saying, this guy's a dirtbag. This is third time. You need to have him arrested on this. It's definitely felony level theft. Right. And so I refused to prosecute. Called his dad. So him and his dad are there. The kid's crying. Just please give me another chance, sir. I'm like, okay, cool. Dad, cut a check for what he owes me. Here's what we got proof of. The dad cut a check. I'm like, okay, we're good. By the way, today is your last day. We're not giving you a fourth chance here. But he took off. And so I'm working at a local coffee shop later. And he's super cold and just acting weird. And then we started, and this is a real sharp kid. We started having hundreds and hundreds of reviews, Google reviews. So I don't know if he had started creating fake accounts or if he was buying a service to do it, but just destroying our cell phone business, about how we're all these crazy negative things. Right. And a lot of them sounded like stuff that he would say. Yeah. Like, oh, that's kind of weird. But, and then I found out later, I'm like, that's where you should not have given a second chance. Don't let people don't let people who have already burned you continue to burn you over and over again. Fool me once, that's my fault. Second time that's on you. Or if you fool me, I guess fool me again, that's on me. Yeah.
Wow, you give somebody a chance and then they still kick you on the way out the door. That's, woo.
I definitely believe in giving somebody a chance, but when they've proven their character by their actions, don't go back on what you know is right.
Well, what I should have said was you giving someone a third and a fourth chance. That's what I should have said. Yeah. Woo. Hopefully that kid and the young man now, or older man, hopefully he turned out okay. But who knows? Hey, what's the biggest risk that you took, and how did it pay off?
So Best Cellular was a $50,000 licensing fee per carrier to be able to get us up with Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. I was in the middle of doing the cancer recovery right there, where the doctors did not think I was going to survive. So doing that, I could not drive. I wasn't able to drive. I wasn't able to live alone. So because I had the seizures, I was having 7 to 10 seizures a week. So I'm sleeping on my mom and stepdad's floor up in Crawford, Colorado, middle of nowhere, and then having them drive me down because I couldn't drive myself. Having them drive me down to this little house on Main Street. We opened up, knocked the front wall out. But trying to build this business. So the risk was on that phone company where we'd been building that up. We started out just as a reseller of other services. And then this was one where I did not have the financial ability to do it myself. And, we didn't know if I was dying or not. Right. So putting in that work to build a telecommunications company with 250,000 customers a month towards the end there, that took not only a big risk for myself, but also, we had a good buddy that come down the first day, wrote a check for $50,000, handed it to me. Just said, I know you're good for it. Yeah. And wasn't able to pay him off for years. But even after the store finally closed, I finally got him, paid that last amount plus interest. So it was worth his time there.
Yeah. Good stuff.
You're going to take risks and you're going to fail. There's if you're going to do something big, you have got to be able to fail. I mean, hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but failure is part of the
journey. Yeah, absolutely. So you wrote some books. You mentioned one of them. Name the books and walk us through. When was the first book you wrote, and what was the motivation for writing that book?
So I've published four books. The first one that I wrote was How to Be Successful, Think Like a Leader. I interviewed people like Nathan Schulhoff, the inventor of the MP3 player, a bunch of big dogs, the leader of the actual founder of a local church here. You had a private hospital, some just cool guys. But I wrote that book originally like as a coffee table type book, thinking I'm not going to survive.
Yeah.
So I just started reaching out to these guys that are the founder of Venture Advocates, franchisesellers.com, a bunch of these type of guys just started saying, hey, would it be possible for me to interview you? I didn't say, I think I'm going to be dead in 90 days. So just, could we sit down and have a cup of coffee? I'd love to put you in this book. And the ones that, most of the guys, sit down, we had a really good interview, got the thing published. But before I actually published the book, we got it all finalized. Then, as I was getting through the cancer treatment in Tijuana, stuff was going better. I wrote and published 3 additional short Kindle books to test out and learn. I'm going, okay, this is a phenomenal book. I don't want to waste these guys' time for a grain to be on my show or, a grain to be in my book. So now I wrote and published 3 extra books, figured out how to market them, get everything going there before publishing that 4th book. The first 3 were tests. Figure out how do you rank.
Hey, give us the name of the 4th book.
So, How to Be Successful, Think Like a Leader was the book.
That was your 4th book. I thought that was your first book. Okay. And how good?
I wrote it first, published it 4th because the other 3 were.
Makes sense. Okay, we're going to touch on branding. I want to tap into your personal expertise here. In your opinion, what is the most common mistake that entrepreneurs make when building our personal brand?
There's a couple of them, but the biggest thing is just not building your brand. I had a kid, I've been on podcast shows where actually a couple this week, told you I'm doing 6 a day.
Yeah.
2 podcasts this week where I got on and the host wouldn't turn on their camera because they were shy to be on camera. They were shy to get their name out there.
Right.
So rather than tell them, hey, listen, this is ridiculous. I'm talking to a black screen. Turn your camera on so this isn't goofy. Looking back at that going, I understand it is it's scary to get up there and speak on stage or to be on podcast, whatever. But the biggest advice is if you're out there, if you're trying to build your personal brand, 2 different things. I work with successful people who are already crushing it, who need access to a larger audience. So that's, like I said, authors, entrepreneurs, podcast hosts, motivational speakers. We take the leaders that are already crushing it, interview them on Amazon Fire TV, Newswire magazine, put them on the 96-foot billboard in Times Square, New York, all of those things. Now, if you're on the other side of that and you're going, I don't have a budget to hire somebody to help me with my personal branding. How do you get started? On that, earned media is absolutely huge. We're paid media. Earned media means doing something to earn media recognition. So, for example, whether it's a donation, you're out, maybe you own a retail store. And you take all your employees, you close the store on a Friday, and everybody's out picking up trash, doing just some kind of a community service.
Right.
So if you're just getting started, you don't have a budget, starting today, you do stuff like that, do something in earned media. You could also just get on, grab your smartphone, say, hey, this is whatever your name is. Here's a problem that I'm going to solve today. And every day start providing value. So if you're an electrician, and you're just starting your little electrical company, you could start every single day doing Facebook videos on, hey, here's an electrical safety tip. Here's something. Did you know if you change this, whatever? Or, hey, here's a way to check to see if your outlets, if your wiring's faulty. Here's a way to see if you've got aluminum, the old aluminum wire that may need to be replaced. But if you're every day just putting out tips and always providing value, then when it comes time, 20, 30 posts down the road, you go, hey, this is Fred. Just want to let you know, I got this really cool electrical business. You guys have seen me putting out tips. If you know somebody who could benefit from me helping them with their electrical work, whether that's a tip, a phone call, or maybe coming out to do the work for them, here's my phone number. Now you've built a group of loyal following that is going, man, this Fred dude is putting out good electrical tips every single day. to start providing value, and that costs you nothing.
I tell you what, the thing about, I guess you know, it sounds easy. Get up, go on Facebook and tell a thing that you understand. But the discipline to do it is the question. It is the bigger hurdle. Your knowledge, you got the knowledge. The discipline to get on there, do the video, upload it, get that messaging out there is the challenge. So what advice would you give for someone just on following through with that advice?
This is not going to be the answer that you're probably looking for, but if you're happy enough with your life to not do anything to change it, not change it, your life probably needs to get a little bit worse, or you're just going to be stuck where you're at. Because we react to the stuff that's going on around us. So either if you're going, hey, listen, I hate my job. I hate that I'm wasting my life. I hate that I'm not fixing any problems. I'm not solving problems. I'm not helping anybody. I have got to do something better. I'm depressed. God gives us those feelings, being depressed, because you need to do something to change your life. You start helping enough people, you don't feel depressed anymore. But if you're somebody who's just trudging through life going, man, I wish something good had happened to me. Go out and do something good. Go out and make something happen for somebody else.
That's great advice. Usually that negative external stimuli is a great motivator, but you want to be able to tap into that before you hit rock bottom. So that's the goal. Get in there and not have something too horrible happen to you and motivate yourself internally. So what's a misconception about personal branding that you wish more people understood?
Here's a big one that goes against my business as far as, you look in here, I'm running 8 separate computer monitors. This one's off, but there's 3 in front of me, 4 over here on the side, multiple cameras.
Yeah.
You don't need the professional production. The professional production is less important than the actual content of the message.
Right.
So if you're thinking, hey, I'd like to start a podcast, I'd love to be a guest on Lee's show here. Mm-hmm. But I don't have a great, I don't have a cool enough background. Get on there, start doing stuff. Don't use it as an excuse to not get out there. I started my podcast living in the back of one of my cell phone stores. I had, we had enough employees. I had to keep paying out good money to them, or you either pay a good amount to where your employees are not out. If you got great people working for you, give them a pay raise so they're not out working for the competitors soon. But so I'm in this store, started out in like 2017, whatever, doing the podcasts, sleeping in the back on a futon mattress. I'd get up in the morning. I bought an old microphone from a thrift store. Didn't have anything to plug it into, but I wanted to look legit. So I get up, put my suit and tie on, go to the gym to shower in the morning. Put my suit and tie on, stand in front of this black curtain, and I get up and talk. Hello, today this is Curtis McCoy. I'm going to talk to you about success, whatever. And I understood the success principles of how to launch successful businesses. I look flipping cheesy on camera though. Like same suit every day, showering at the gym, holding a fake microphone, talking to my cell phone. But just get started. I mean, your stuff will continue to progress.
Yeah.
Where pretty soon you're not sleeping in the back of a phone store recording on an old junk Android phone.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great lessons. I tell you what, I got a boxes full of old microphones that you just build up, right? And I'll probably get a new microphone for this one as well, just to keep getting better. But you got to start somewhere, and that's great advice, because when you start doing your research, hey, I want to be a podcaster or something like that, they give you all this stuff. But the last thing that they say, if you watch the whole messaging, is like, just go get started.
Yep.
You learn all the things you need to know by failing on the things that you do. So, okay, I did it wrong this way. Let me change that up. Let me do it this way. So for me, I was like that guy that you had an interview with earlier. I didn't want to get on the camera because I was a photographer. So I'm used to being behind the lens. You know what I mean? And I wanted to do a podcast, so I did audio podcasts. But I kept hearing, you want to do video. You want to get your face out there. You want to get your brand out there. And so I did a lot of research and I did all this stuff, and I probably waited a little too long, but I said, you know what, today I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out and get it going. And I looked at a few of them. Curtis, I looked at a few of my earlier ones, and it wasn't good. right? But each episode I try to get better.
Yep.
And that's the whole thing. I wake up in the morning and I said, thank you, Lord, for a new day, a chance to be better. That's my every day. I started off like that. So great lessons. Get started, whatever it is. You're not going to be perfect. You know,
and by the way,
yeah.
Just a quick note here on your setup.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, don't use Lee's setup as an excuse not to get started. You look good on there, man. You got that cool Hindsight custom sign behind you, all the nice lighting. Yeah, you got a good setup there. Colors all match good. And,
I appreciate it.
Don't use the Hindsight podcast as an excuse to go, man, Lee looks too cool. I'm not ever going to look like that.
Now, look, yeah. I tell you what, now, the first thing I did was I looked at your background, too, and I was like, God dang, he's got a nice setup, right? So I appreciate that, too. And now knowing that you got 8 monitors around you, circling around looking like, I can't remember that movie with Neo and...
The Matrix.
Neo. Yeah. So anywho, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, just get started. I mean, bottom line is you just need a way to get out there, and things are so cheap now. You just get you a phone. You know, you don't need anything else, really.
Here's
a phone and a service. Yeah.
If you start providing value, I had a guy from Newswire magazine, one of my guests, just sent me, I just got yesterday, opened up a Vocaster 2 XLR, what was it called? This podcast studio. Real nice new mic, the headphones, all that stuff. I just didn't get a chance to plug it in this morning before we got set up. I didn't want to mess it up trying to figure out a new microphone as we were doing our call here. But if you start providing enough value, stuff starts showing up. I carry a concealed carry CCW pretty much everywhere I go. I got a couple of different pistol holsters that were sent to me by people that are going, hey, would you mind mentioning this on your Instagram? I've got 2 or 3 different pairs of shoes, really nice shoes shipped in from Europe that the company had mentioned. Hey, we'd like to send you some shoes. Would you be willing to do this? Another company's sending me some dress slacks. Should show up this week. Going, hey, you can keep them, but I hope you'll mention this on your podcast or something sometime. $1 million collar the really nice button-up shirts, the placket stay in them and stuff. So as long as the content doesn't suck, you'll start getting free stuff. I can tell you how many microphones, how many different stuff that companies have sent going, would you be willing to test this out on your show? So just start creating content. If you're using the lack of equipment as an excuse, you'll start getting equipment probably more than you can handle if you're doing a good job putting out a good message, you know?
I know that's right. I tell you, Curtis got a whole factory back behind him. He's acting like it's a small room. No, that's awesome. Hey, look, I want to go back and stay right here with you. So if you could go back and give advice to your younger self, this is a common question. What would you say to baby or little boy Curtis?
So now I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe I was created by God. You don't have to be a Christian to do good business or to do stuff that Christians do. You know, as far as like helping people, loving your brother, love your neighbor, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling like, you do have to be saved. I believe you got to be saved to be let into heaven. But if you're feeling like maybe whether you believe in God or not, and you're feeling like, hey, I'm worthless, I'm a loser, I've got, what is my worth? Who do I help? Why am I even here? The thing that I would ask you to, I just wish I could put this on a billboard everywhere that said you were created by the same God that created the entire universe. You were created in His image, so by default, you've got to be pretty amazing. If you're going to make something, if you were the best artist ever to exist, and you were going to make a statue of yourself, you're going to make that thing look good. It's going to be nice. You know, you're not going to not going to make junk. And God, if you believe in God, that He created the entire universe. That's amazing that you were created in His image.
Right. Okay, so you let your little self know that. I get it.
Yes, sir.
If you now you done wrote 4 books.
Working on 5.
Working on the 5th one. If your life were turned into a book, what would the title be?
Dang it, man!
I know. I gotta get one in there. One word title. We'll keep it
One
like
word's
that.
going to make it tougher.
Okay, 5 words. Go ahead. What you think?
I would do the book on personal branding if that was on the value. There is so much I could share about not creating a brand and how that can cause massive problems in your life just because people don't know that they can do business with you. It would be a long title. It would be People Can't Do Business with You If They Can't Find You.
That's a good title, though. Is that going to be the title of your 5th book?
5th one's on
maybe the 6th book.
Affiliate marketing. But yeah, I think that might be one.
Hey, what do you do when you wind down? Now, you do a lot of work. You got hectic days, long hours. What's your favorite way to just chill after a hectic day of managing multiple ventures? And like today, you're supposed to be chilling and unwinding, and I sent it in. Hey, can you come on Saturday morning on your day off? Right? What do you normally do if I wasn't calling and asking you to come on the show?
Man, I love that you asked me to be on the show. I think that was the coolest thing. It's an awesome podcast. So for years and years, I've been a workaholic, worked too much to a fault where I didn't have friends, family. I mean, there was nobody around my mom. But if I had died the very next morning, I had phenomenal employees, like great customers. If I died today, those same employees would have been over at any other phone store in the country there, probably making more money than I could afford to pay them. So because I love working, I mean, I love solving problems for people. But
right.
Yeah, that would be
okay. All right.
I love to work, but now I got girlfriend who I would like to make permanent, make her a permanent piece of the future here. And she's got a 7-year-old son, coolest little boy. So that's now what I'm doing in my free time is stuff that I would have never expected. Taking him to the dinosaur museum, going hiking, going out playing catch. After we get done here today, we'll be out playing football or playing catch or something, playing baseball.
Right.
But that's my hobby now that I finally figured out, hey, there's a reason to live besides just building business.
Good. I love it. Hey, and I'm going to touch on this. I'm not going to go super into it. Because you have mentioned it and brought it up a little bit. How did your condition, I should say, when you got diagnosed with the brain cancer, how did that impact your approach to business and personal branding? And what changes did you have to make to accommodate your health?
So, like I said, at the time I was running a cosmetic medical laser clinic that we had started. I had a pharmaceutical company manufacturing bioidentical injectable research peptides. I was running a Christian clothing business. Early 20s, and I had, guys my grandpa's age working for me. Dozens of bodybuilders, we'd show up to a show and have 18 of us walking around, bodybuilders in their Be Fit for Free shirts and stuff. But so I had been having, I get to where I was having as many as 7 to 10 seizures a week. And so pretty soon we sponsored an event at the Denver Coliseum where an MMA fight announcer got up there. There's thousands of people. He's telling everybody, hey, thanks for this event. We got Andy Hammond, IFBB pro bodybuilder who passed away a couple of years ago here. But Andy got up, tore one of my company shirts off in the middle of the stage, did his posing routine. Just did a really cool intro for the fight. And then the announcer saying, hey, thank you guys so much for, just want to let you know, Chris McCoy is the reason we put on this show tonight here. Go down and check out his booth, whatever. I walked off, had a seizure coming off the thing, banging my face on the ground, got beat up. Got my face all beat up. Woke up in the hospital. There's those kind of things happening over and over. Woke up in the hospital and as an oncologist was telling my mom that I would not be here in 90 days. Said he's 60 to 90 days to live tops. Need to do chemo, radiation, brain surgery. It's not going to stop the cancer, but it will make him comfortable.
Yeah. And
so with that kind of thing going on there, with going, hey, don't know what's going to happen, but I was, we thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
So I figured, okay, you know what? I know where I'm going. I know I'm saved, but I just wanted to start living every day as if it could be my last, because most people don't get that. You don't get to wake up from a coma with a doctor telling your mom that you're going to be dead in 90 days. But that really helped me start figuring out a little bit better on how to make life actually matter.
Wow. Yeah, I tell you what, that is that, and I wouldn't call it rock bottom, but that is a blow to your mental. That is a blow. And I was thinking about that because I heard about your story, and I was thinking about that. We're all going to go, and you're comfortable knowing that you're saved and you're going to go to heaven and be with God. But a lot of us, you don't have that perspective. We don't have that time. Like, 60 to 90 days. So you're like, how can I be most impactful? After you get over, coping with that news, how can I be impactful in these last days? We don't have that. And I think if we had that mentality to, like, each and every day, try to figure out how can I be more impactful? How can I leave that legacy? What is the legacy that I want to leave? All of these different things. If we did that purposefully in our lives, instead of kind of waiting, you were out doing your thing already. But instead of waiting and then never doing anything because you think you're always going to be here, I think that is an amazing, amazing story, and not an amazing story, but an amazing message, I should say. So what do you think? And then I want to, another part of that story is, and I said it earlier, how your mom was there with you and helped you to get that mental approach, to get out of the, I hate to use this word, but, and don't take it negatively, the victim mentality, why me, type thing. She helped walk you through that and get you out of there. And
it wasn't even really walking me through it. My mom knew, forever. I'd get in trouble at school for selling something, making some kind of project, selling it.
Yeah.
And get in trouble. Hey, you can't charge kids to electrocute them with a transformer and a 9-volt battery. So I was always getting in trouble for business. But my mom she knew, when I'm like, okay, I lost everything. I couldn't drive my new motorcycle. I couldn't drive, couldn't live alone. So I'm sleeping on their floor in this little cabin in Crawford, Colorado. But she knew if I laid around feeling sorry for myself, that it wasn't going to be a good thing. I'm probably going to die. You live to, when you've got a passion, when you got something you've got to accomplish, a lot of times you'll see people stick around longer. And so she did not let me hang out and feel, well, yeah, I'm dying in 90 days, so let's watch the clock.
Yeah.
She's going, hey, what kind of a business could you start where you don't have to drive? We can drive you wherever you want to go. What kind of business you want to start? A weight loss clinic? You want to start doing these? I was manufacturing human chorionic gonadotropin drops. The HCG had a company manufacturing them for me, white labeling these weight loss drops. And she's like, okay, do you want to start a weight loss clinic up here? Do you want to start a screen repair business for phone store? Do you want to start a, whatever? And I'm thinking through it. I'm still barely able to communicate. I'm like, there's not enough customers in Hotchkiss, Colorado. If everybody in the whole town wanted to sign up to lose weight, cool. But I was going to be in business about a month before we were bankrupt. But she's just like, okay, do you want to start another supplement company? Do you want to start? What could we start where, we can't drive you all the time, but do you want to start delivering supplements to get you? Do we, you've got some cash left over from the other business. Do you buy a storage rental? Do you buy it? What do you do where you can start being, productive?
Right.
So
Right.
She didn't let me lay around and prepare to die like the doctors were trying to get me to.
Yeah, man. You didn't choose your mom. Your mom's your mom. But if you can, choose your team, choose your support, get that, nurture that relationship, get that all developed, because we all go through things. Some not as extreme, but we all go through things, and we need that support. We think we're doing it all on our own, but you're not.
Yep.
So build up that team. All right. Now, I'm way over time. I apologize. But one thing I do want to ask you, I asked you a few questions. Is there anything that you'd like to talk about that we haven't discussed so far?
So the biggest thing, I got us off track on a whole bunch of stuff today, but the biggest thing, again, the folks that I help are authors, entrepreneurs, motivational speakers, anybody who is already doing good in life, doing good in business, but needs to get their name out there. If you want to be featured, if you'd like to see if you qualify to be featured on Amazon Fire TV, the cover of Newswire magazine, or maybe just a featured article, or getting you on the billboard in Times Square, New York, those kind of things, reach out. You can just Google M. Curtis McCoy. You can Google Newswire magazine. We own all the domains and stuff, but also if a personal brand, if you're looking at hiring somebody for personal branding, Google them, see if they're doing what they actually say they can do. Yeah. Don't just hire somebody that sends you a resume. Look, okay, does this person believe in the service that they're offering? And do they know how to actually do it to where they're ranking themselves? If not, that's probably a good sign that if your mechanic pulls up, you see his car is crashed and fallen off the road and stuff.
Yeah.
I better find a mechanic that actually cares about vehicles and believes you should drive a safe vehicle.
That's an easy one right there. Hey, where? So you gave the email. Where can we find out more information about what M. Curtis McCoy is doing?
So you go to mcurtismccoy.com. You go to mcm.team. That's got all the social platforms and stuff. Check out our show on Amazon Fire TV. It's called Success, Motivation, and Inspiration. Or search Newswire magazine. We're getting some massive traffic there too. So,
all right. I think
if you can't find me on Google, I don't know what I'm doing.
I know that's right. Hey, Curtis, thank you so much for joining me today on Hindsight the Podcast. Your insights on personal branding, leadership, and business development have been incredibly valuable. And I appreciate you sharing your journey and your experiences to the listeners. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And for the listeners, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Hindsight the Podcast so you don't miss amazing episodes and interviews with amazing people like M. Curtis McCoy. So thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.
It was awesome, Lee. Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks for joining me here on Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And while I have you here, why don't you take your mouse, go over and click on that subscribe button. No, not right there. Over to the right. No, down, right there. Boom. Thank you. Now, thank you for subscribing to Hindsight the Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones.